Yo, what is up? We are back. NBA underdog player props. Talking through today. Let's go to the injury report. Actually, first before we do that, Kenny, how you doing? You good, man?
Yeah, I'm doing better. I feel better.
Sound better.
Voice sounds a little bit better, I guess. Doesn't sound great still, but you know, we're we're back. We're finally on our feet. We're not sleeping all day, so that's a
That's the first step. Beautiful.
yeah.
All right, we'll get into this one. So, decent slate tonight, but we're going to go through game by game and just talk through a couple of the plays that we like individually. If you guys have any specific plays and games you like, as always, you can mention those and we'll talk through them. But we'll just kind of go through game by game, starting off with this Golden State Pacers game. From an injury perspective, I know we've got Curry as kind of a questionable game time decision. Could you double check the most recent word we got on that?
Yeah, I agree.
I expect him to play, but back to back, those are always the potential to have a guy like a Curry potentially miss a game if there's any kind of question. So I
Yeah,
don't want to assume
definitely.
there. But this is a
Uh,
yeah. You got something?
Questionable 28 minutes ago still.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. So yeah, I mean this one's 238 total, massive total, only a 1 point spread. I mean both of these teams, I know the Pacers, both these teams actually both coming off a back to back here, right? Um,
Yep.
Pacers with a really rough showing last game. Just one of those games specifically for Hallie. We'll talk about that, but massive total for these teams. I expect this one to be high scoring, and I think it can be close too. It's this one's in Indiana, right? Not in Golden State. And yeah, I mean it's 1 point spread, as we love to see. Those like 1 point spread, like basically pick 'em games with massive totals. Dude, they get me going. So we can check out this one and we'll go through these one by one. But anything here specifically? I know we're waiting on some Curry news, so I know we've got some lines up. Actually, I'm gonna refresh just to make sure none of these are adjusted or completely off the board. But any of these lines jumping out to you? I know it's been
Yeah. I wish we could see a Jalen Smith line, so I'd be curious to see what he's at when he gets out there.
mhm.
Um, Turner at 16 and a half is kind of like moved up to me already too much. He obviously he can cover this, but the last couple of games he's been just around 15, 16. And this is a good spot against the Warriors, five,
Yeah.
which we usually like to take, but it's up to 16 and a half, contrary to how he's been playing last week. So it's moved up a little bit too much for me to like love it. Which is why I kind of want to see what Jalen Smith was at to see if he was at a bit of a discount. But other than those, the bigs, I mean, Nemhard, I kind of like at 10 and a half. I know he also
Yeah.
hasn't been like crushing this since Halliburton's come back, but he's been in a pretty solid role.
Yeah, he's
He
playing. He's playing big minutes.
yeah,
Even with him back.
yeah, big minutes and torched the Warriors last time they played. Obviously, there was no Hallie there, so a lot of usage went his way. But I still like his matchup against Poole. The Warriors are struggle a little bit at the two spots, specifically when Poole is slotted in there. So I like Nemhard to get over 10 and a half points just off sheer minutes and the pace and the projected scoring of this game. It's like a 238 total, probably a higher pace game. This isn't a matchup that they can more or less exploit. Defensively, if anything, their attention should be on the other guys, and Nemhard is going to be a guy that's going to have to be called up to help them compete with a big team like the Warriors. And so I think 11 is a very achievable points mark in a high scoring game for a guy that should play over 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yo, what's up, Double Cup Cam? I see Poole or Curry over for sure with Thompson and Wiggins out. Yeah, good shot. I didn't actually mention those when we were talking about it. I know I pointed to Curry as kind of the questionable. He was the one that we didn't have word on. But yeah, I think Poole's pretty interesting. I mean, we've seen this season, right, in a stretch without Klay Thompson right here. I mean, Poole's been averaging 26.6 points, 4 assists. I'm like not. I mean, pretty efficient shooting. I mean, he's shooting 40% from three. Actually, only 40% and then 50% from the floor. So not like insane efficiency or anything. Pretty good output in numbers there. And this is another really nice total game. A couple of those games against like the Spurs and the Pistons, but two of those games were against the Pelicans, one against the Rockets. So I think it's a pretty good spot for him. Do you is this line a little too juicy for you up here at like it's probably going to be at like 24 and a half?
It's not bad. I do like it at 24.5 actually. I think I might like it more than Curry, where he's at specifically, but
Yeah, he's
again, we're
gonna
still
be like a
waiting on
30.
Curry news. I feel like he'll play, but again, we don't know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, with no Clay, with no Wiggins, I mean, I do kind of like it. I think Poole can shoot like 35, 38% tonight and still cover 24.5, 25.5.
Yeah.
So I do like it.
It's one of those lines where it would surprise me if Poole misses because of shot volume, right? We've just seen in that stretch without Clay specifically, but when you remove those two guys, like he'll have the volume to do it. It's just one of those that's going to be, how well does he shoot from three? And I agree. I think it's one of those spots where I know it's a high line, but um, I think like in this spot specifically, it's one of those where it just looks so good.
Yeah,
But I agree.
definitely.
Yeah, I think Nemhart's pretty interesting. We'll take a peek at some of these assist lines. I know Hallie's at 10 flat, I believe. I know
Hmm.
he's one we always check. Um,
Not bad actually.
I know I
Um,
I do kind of like it. Um, it's tough, dude. He's just been the point god this season. Like
yeah.
even in these bad games. Um, I want to look something up real quick. I mean, this last game, this Heat game, I think this was actually it was 2 nights ago. Um, it was just a bad game all around for the Pacers for the most part. It was honestly it was the worst game of Hallie's season.
Yeah,
It
I
just
mean,
could not get anything going. I mean, that's kind of like something that we've seen with the Heat before too. And it's just
yeah.
one of those where it just happens, right?
Mhm.
Like those games happen for guys where he just went 0 for 9 from the floor.
Yeah, I think he can. I think he can really thrive in this game too. But to me, I like to discount it on Nemhard at the points position. Feels a little bit safer than
Yeah,
the tennis is for Hallie. But I mean, like tennis again, tennis is for Hallie. I think caters well to guys like Nemhard reaching their points totals as well. If they think that Hallie's going to distribute, the Pacers are going to score a lot of points. It goes both ways. So
yeah. Did any part of you? I know we didn't talk about Hallie points specifically. I know his kind of volume has been a question mark a little bit this season. We've seen a little bit of a bump, right, from what we expected last season. He's had some pretty good games, but he's still not averaging 20 this season.
no, yeah.
And so at that 19 and a half line, even in this like pretty decent spot, are you just kind of fading that?
Yeah, I think in this spot, like you need things to fall the right way for him to get to 20. Whereas, like to me, it's like Nemhard. I don't need a lot to fall my way for him to get 11,
Yeah, I got you.
right? Like he's gonna be out there a lot, so he just has to have some moments,
Yep.
which he will. Like, he has the floor for that. Whereas like Hallie, like you said, like he hasn't been the high usage scorer that maybe we thought he'd be more of with this year. So him reaching 20, I think he needs to do something a bit more out of the ordinary than
Yeah.
some of these other lines.
Right. And I will say these, specifically with Hallie, and we can kind of move on past this point. I want to spend too much time with all these games, but specifically with Hallie, a lot of these games that he does, cross over, and I know he's had some games where he's kind of smashed that points line. It is with pretty efficient shooting, specifically from three. And I mean,
Yeah.
he's a great 3 point shooter, but those are the kind of things that kind of like scare me on plays is when it isn't necessarily the volume that's like putting somewhere right up at that line. It's pretty efficient shooting that's getting him over the hump. So any of these other lines you want to talk about before we kind of move on to some of these other games?
Um,
I know we don't have a ton of lines for some of these guys. I don't
just
even think we
gonna
have threes.
see what Ben Matherin is at.
Yeah, he's been
Uh,
really interesting. A pretty cold stretch overall from
15.5.
what he was doing at the start of the season.
Not on underdog right now either. We can move on. We got like 8 other games we could talk about,
Yeah,
and we can come back to this too if people have questions. But
for sure. Sounds good. All right, cool. Moving on here. Let's go to Atlanta, Orlando here. So, obviously no Collins, no Murray. Trey is
yep,
questionable. Do you want to do a quick Trey check and see if there's any more
yeah,
recent?
probably gonna give me the same thing, but
I
I'll
know
see what
it's
I get
yeah,
here.
there's some soreness question mark, so we'll see. But for the Magic, I mean, big injuries to some of the guys who have kind of been out. Suggs, obviously, and Wendell Carter, the two big names. But yeah, we can pull this up. I'm sure we won't see a lot of these Hawks lines with kind of that question mark for Trey. We can take a look.
I'm looking up my boy here to see.
Looking up your boy.
Let's just do this.
Fine. Now, I guess I didn't talk about the lines for this game. 225 total, 2.5 spread. So another close, decent total game. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much on that right now.
Okay, no worries. How about your boy? Speaking of your boy, I don't even think this is who you're talking about. Franz Wagner having that career game just 2 games ago against the Raptors, and then followed it up with another 23-point game against them.
Well, it's a dog. I mean, we always knew he was a dog.
18 and a half though versus so I guess we probably, and let me know if you think differently. I think the two guys that I take a look at here in this one are from a points perspective is this Wagner line, and then Banchero, just with my expectations like from a volume consistency standpoint. Anyone else on the Magic side jumping out to you? And I guess with those, any of those twos that you're really liking?
Markel Fultz jumps out to me a little bit. I just like the matchup, but I really like the Wagner matchup too. So I do like that 18.5 line for Wagner. I don't think, like, to me that's a line that's like not moved, doesn't feel like it's moved up too much. Like you could put that at 20.5 and I would still kind of be like, I kind of like it maybe, but like 18.5 it's a pretty nice line to me.
And against the Raptors with most of the guys healthy, I think that's kind of the big thing.
Yeah.
Him covering that in back-to-back games against that team where, I think you could look at one of those games and be like, he shot crazy and everything, whatever, smashed it. But, I mean, comes back out second game and beats it as well.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a nod to, them having the other weapons still there, like Banchero, Fultz can score, Bol, etc. So,
yeah.
With Banchero back in, I think they're always going to keep him probably below 20. But
yeah, I'd be curious I want to take a peek at assist line specifically for Fultz.
Yep.
I'm gonna pull up that.
Yeah, he's at 5 flat. It's a little frustrating. I like him at 5. Like I like him to get 5. I don't love the safety for him to just be at 6. Like, to me,
it's just right on the edge, right? He's been he's averaging 4 assists on the season, and I do like the where the minutes have been this early in his return from the injury, but it has been a little sporadic even with these injuries, right? Where he's had like some 20-minute games, some 28. So I don't think I'm as excited about that as I thought it would have been with like a 4 flat or something.
No, I might even like Wagner's assist more than Fultz.
Yeah, no, I wish we had an underdog line for that one because I do really like that.
No, I do like Wagner. Last time they played, he had 22. I just think the matchup's way better too. Obviously, there's no DeJounte Murray on him, would be just the worst case scenario matchup. And I don't know how. I mean, this is every Magic game, right? It's like I don't know how they're gonna try to line up against this Magic team.
Yeah, right. With it's like Forrest, Griffin.
Yeah, you can't bring, like, Griffin's probably a better defender, although he's younger. Like, you could probably bring Griffin down to match up with Wagner, but then you have Forrest on Banchero. Like,
you just can't. Like, when you start getting to like a lineup that has Banchero, Bol, and Mo Wagner, it's just like, what do you even do?
Yeah, I think Wagner and Fultz have the matchups best to exploit. So I'm probably going to go Wagner 18.5 here.
Yeah, cool. We can keep it moving here. Let's get up to our Pistons, huh?
Yeah.
How about the fight
big
for
game incoming.
The fight for first pick?
Battle for Wembanyama.
Yeah. This is Detroit Charlotte game. LaMelo, I believe the most recent report I saw was obviously upgraded from out or doubtful to questionable for this game tonight. He's hopeful he can play, and I think the last report I saw was they're going to test it out, see how he's feeling in shoot around. So he is one of those 100% game time decision kind of guys. So I anticipate us not seeing a lot of Charlotte lines on these, but really nice total. It is a Pistons game, 229.5, but it's also a close spread, 3.5. I mean, both of these teams, dealing with obviously Charlotte dealing with all the injuries and all the inconsistent play this season, and then the Pistons. Shout out to the Pistons. But let's pull this one up because I do like this game. I will say. for
Yeah,
not just for Charlotte. Like a lot of the times when we talk about liking a Pistons game, it's for the team that's playing the Pistons because defensively, and then the
right.
implied team total for that other team. But I think this is one of those like sneaky games that can be. Actually, I'm already on assists because we were just looking at it, and I know we both like our boy Killian Hayes. Six
Yeah.
flat. I think it's a really good line for Kill. I mean, if you just look at what he's done in this stretch without Cade, I mean, he's literally just averaging 12, 13 potential, and he's been just like a 7 assist guy since Cade's been out of the lineup.
Yeah. And doing it in like less minutes too.
Yeah, he's had some, and I know that's kind of scary when we say that because I feel like that's kind of, people feel like, oh, are his minutes like scary or inconsistent? But I feel pretty good about Killian playing starter-ish minutes, like I'm not like too scared of that. And I know he's had 2 disappointing games. He had a crazy stretch where the scoring was really good, assist numbers, pretty efficient scoring. And then, these Lakers and Grizzlies games, 5 points, but 9 assists, then 5 assists in 19 minutes. I mean, you got to feel good on a per minute basis for this to hit, especially in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the other like the Memphis game, they were getting blown out heading into the fourth quarter. So that was one of those where the score of the game did not match up well with their rotations.
Yeah.
Like them coming back in late in the fourth just didn't really make sense. And I think the second unit was kind of buzzing a little bit to help win the fourth quarter. But I like this game to be close. I like the Pistons, actually to win this one. I think they're underdogs like +3 when it opened at least. But I like this game to be close. I like the matchup for the guards here. Whether LaMelo plays or not, maybe, if LaMelo plays, I guess it is a bit different. I think Charlotte would probably edge it out then. But he might be on a minutes restriction anyway. But I just like the guards in this one. I like both Ivy and Hayes, but I know that the concerns are warranted with the Ivy minutes.
Yeah.
And just his recent play lately. But I do think that they play better minutes in this one. I think this one stays close. I think there's a better flow in this one.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, like Ivy with Killian with 6 assists is a solid line for me. I want to take Ivy at 14 points, but
yeah, I'm just heading over to points
until we see the minutes get like a bit more consistent. Maybe not, but like he still is like a high usage guy when he's out there. So it's like, even if he does play mid-20s minutes, he's gonna shoot a good amount.
Right, even in this kind of like this scary stretch, and obviously there was a little bit of coming back. I think it's just been kind of a little disappointing with obviously with Cade being out. I think there was an expectation that Ivy would kind of build on what he did to start the season, but he just hasn't been shooting super great. The volume is decent though, so I will say that even with a disappointing stretch, like I really do like this line. Like a 13.5, 14 flat line is really nice in this kind of game. It's really hard to trust, I think is kind of where we're at. But I'll go over to another Piston. How do you feel about Bogey here? 19.5. I mean, we talk about the inconsistencies of Ivy. I mean, Bogey's just been insane this season. Obviously, with some pretty crazy games over this most recent stretch.
Yeah, I like Bogey out in isolation. I don't know if I get too cute with the matchup sometimes, but this is probably my least favorite matchup for him. But I mean, we've seen Bogdanovich produce in harder matchups or hard matchups, I should say, and still be the kind of shining light as far as the scorer, because that's just kind of his role.
Obviously inflated with some big blow-up games, but he's averaging 21 on the season. I do like this game. I agree that if you're just looking at matchups specifically, I mean, I do agree, but I just really feel good about the volume being there. I mean, we've seen him.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
just like 15 shots in 22 minutes against the Grizzlies, 19 points. I just like if this game's close and as high scoring as I expect it to be, I just feel really good about him having the volume to be able to cover that.
Yeah, and there's good value on the books too, right?
I mean, 100%.
19.5, the other books -140. So
yeah, and you're seeing it's closer to it's almost I mean, maybe not almost, but it's closer to a pick'em at 20.5 on some of these other books. So really good value on this one. You're seeing like almost -140. It's within
I do like
within market width for you sports betting nerds out there.
Yeah, this one is looking a lot better the more that I look at it.
Yeah, it's just like it's so hard to not like the over with just what we've seen from him this season.
Yeah, I mean, high scoring game that should be close. You're going to tell me that Bogdanovich isn't in the 20s, right? With no Cade and the way that this lineup's been looking,
and just the pace of this game overall, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Any other ones you want to talk about? We can peek at threes. I know sometimes you don't always get the three lines, so we can pull that up. Anything else in this game? I know we're not seeing a lot of these Charlotte guys are talking about that much, with LaMelo being a big question mark.
Um, I want to look at the lines for the Hornets guys, but they're not on underdog right now.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Oubre would be at. Um,
Yeah, he'll probably. I mean, usually you can
I
kind of
don't know
predict
about
it
that
off of,
also.
but it's kind of tough, right? Because we see one of these other similar prop sites has a 22.5, but it's showing up on FanDuel here at 19.5.
Yeah,
Which
I
I
don't.
think this is maybe a hedge to LaMelo not playing,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
right?
so we can move on because Lamelo is obviously one of the bigger
Yeah, I
impact
think
players.
yeah, and we like we mentioned, if you're playing any props or playing any Charlotte guys, LaMelo is a true game time decision. It's 100% going to be how he's feeling tonight.
Yeah.
So kind of tough to predict that, but we can move on here. Take a look at we'll go Knicks Bulls. This one, Brunson. Also, I believe he is a true game time decision kind of guy. Um, I don't know if you want to double check while I'm pulling this up any of the most recent reports there, but 22.5 total, 4.5 spread for Chicago.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much on Brunson.
Yeah, I know it is disappointing because I mean the time that we record and stream these videos, it's where usually the most recent reports are from whatever the last news was, early in the day, right? Because you
Yeah.
hear those initial reports, and then it's like if a player is a game time decision for a shoot around, you're not going to hear anything, until like closer
Yeah.
to the game. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you get your like morning break, like your morning breaking news or like intel, and then you have a lull until like 2 to 3 hours before tip off, and then that's where you
yeah,
get it. End of the wave. Also,
yeah. So we can go to these Chicago guys if we just want a quick touch on these guys, because we'll at
yeah.
least have most of those up. We are missing some of them, but 26.5 Tamar, Levine 22.5.
Um, yeah. Let me look at a curious. Oh, Caruso's a game time decision. I actually wanted to see what Caruso was going to do, but
Yeah,
um,
this is
this feels like a this feels like a good little DeRozan setup to me. Um,
yeah.
I like DeRozan in these types of games. Like, we talked about this before. I like DeRozan in the games that feel a little bit more controlled by the other team. Like, if
Mm,
Brunson does play, like they can push the pace, but more or less, I think they're a half court offense team.
yeah.
And then, if we have games like against Charlotte or people that like really like to push the pace, like Minnesota, Indiana, those games I like to look at Levine just because of how it fits their play styles
Yeah.
and because that is something that like we've seen successfully translate as far as their play. Um, yeah, DeRozan 26 and a half. It's so funny because last year, like, this is an automatic play. Remember?
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest, and I don't do this a lot. I don't really like a lot of these lines in these games. I feel like a lot of them feel fair with just like what I expect this game to look like, specifically with like those big Chicago three guys with Vooch in this matchup and Demar at that line with what the season's been
I,
like.
I kind of like this game to go under, too.
Right.
Especially if there's no Brunson. I think the Knicks without the point guard like that is really going to slow things down for one and change things up. I don't love the overs here. I don't like how this is lining up with what I think the implied total is going to be this game because you got 21, 21, 22, 24, 25, 24, and all the bench guys too. I just think these lines are too high.
Yeah, I
Uh,
will say, I mean, obviously Demar, smashed. Yeah, it's really tough.
I think I would go Randall for anybody on the Knicks
Mm.
side.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
from a consistency standpoint, it is a higher line, but he is just give me
what's
that
his?
over RJ's line at 22.5.
Take a look at his rebounds here.
Lots of rebounds in this game.
Um,
Oh, I don't hate that. We can take a peek.
yeah, 8.5 is good value too for Randall. You're looking at, yep, 8.5, even money on underdog, obviously. You got like minus 130, minus 130, minus 130, minus
Yeah.
125. So good value there. I mean, he's lots of rebounding games.
Oh, how do you feel about Vooch at 9.5? I kind of like that too.
Yeah, I do like that as well. That's kind of crazy.
Especially matchup wise with I
Mitchell
mean
Robinson.
yeah, I mean a guy like that who cannot space out the floor super well.
Yeah,
I mean I know
yeah.
we're kind of like picking hairs at that point, but I feel like that
I
just
do like.
naturally you'd tell me Vooch is at 9.5. I don't even know who the matchup is. I'm like, yeah, I like that over. Yeah,
Right, I agree. Yeah, I do kind of like that.
RJ Barrett.
Hmm.
Yeah, if RJ Barrett, so we're looking at underdog, right? So this six flat is just really ugly and clunky. I could get behind a 5.5, but I think those other ones, specifically on underdog, I feel better about. I actually really like that Vooch.
Yeah, I do too. Well, out of here. Log it away.
Put it. Let me get my put the pen down. Um, okay, cool. All right, we can move on to we on a purple line beam. Ooh,
Oh
is
yeah.
this a pro? Never mind.
What do
I'm
you
not gonna
say?
touch it. Not gonna touch it. All right. Kings
Interesting.
Raptors. So 232 total. Beautiful total. 5 point spread.
Yeah.
No OG tonight.
Stop OG.
Hurdy. Ron Threesley is a game time decision.
Eh,
Man, it's been a pretty weird stretch for some of these Kings guys. Keegan's come on a little bit more. Fox has been a little inconsistent. We'll take a look at some of these lines though.
Give me Iguodala. Um, I like Gary Trent in this one. I'm gonna say it.
He's been hot, man. He's been
Yeah,
hot. No OG.
he has been hot, and I don't think there's reason for that to slow down. It's a pace up spot for them. Kings struggle against the two spot. Yeah, underdog agrees. They have them at 20 and a half with most books. Values slightly on the under. I do think 20 and a half is a little steep though. So I guess Vegas does agree with me. That is a
Yeah,
pretty steep line.
I do like that. Siakam, what's Siakam at? I don't hate Siakam. 25.5.
Yeah. Yep, that's a good one too. I mean, Keegan Murray's a solid defender. I don't think he'll see Keegan Murray all night. I think they're going to switch a lot on Siakam,
Hmm.
but 25 and a half. Yeah, that's a good line. What's his PRA at?
You pulling it up?
PRA. Yeah, just tell me what it is.
We on it. All right.
Pascal Siak, him.
40.5. So like 25. You need
That's tough.
15. Yeah.
25, 10, 6. What's the assist line then? Assist line's probably like 7,
Yeah, I was gonna say if that's what that calculates out to be, his
six
rebounds
and
are
a
probably like
half.
10.
I don't hate 6.5 assists for him either.
Yeah. No, I don't hate that.
No, no, no. 6.5.
Let's do, yeah.
What do we got for it's a pace up spot for Toronto. What's the implied total
Fred's at
here?
6.5 too.
232. It's pretty high implied total. That's about 120, 119. Yeah. So we're looking at like a 119 total for Toronto.
Hmm.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty nice Toronto total game.
Yeah. 119 total. Seven assists needed, which he's covered in the last 5 games straight. I
Let's
kind of
see.
like it. I mean, let's look here. So he's covered it against Orlando twice. Okay. 20. Down, down. Lakers, Boston. Boston, Lakers, Orlando again. Brooklyn, Pels, Cavs, Mavs. He didn't do it. Brooklyn, Cavs, Brooklyn, Pels. Interesting. Okay.
I'm gonna peek at rebounds real quick.
Pels, Cavs, Mavs. Brooklyn, Pels, Cavs, Mavs. Brooklyn,
Yeah.
Pels, Cavs, Mavs.
Yeah.
Spurs, Hawks. Yeah, I mean his success rate is pretty pretty. I guess not. I'll refrain from making that statement.
No, I think it's a good spot. I do like the line. Man, I wish Sabonis had this 5.5 line.
What about Scotty? What about some Barnes on Barnes crime? We got Barnes on Barnes crime set up tonight. Harrison Barnes on Scotty Barnes.
Okay.
What?
No, nothing. Uh,
Yeah. This is way too high for him. I kind of like the under on that. Holy.
yeah, it just sucks that it's the flat, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I would really, really like it at that 4.5.
Like under.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm cool to move on. I think there's a couple things I liked in that game.
Whoa.
What? You not ready to move on?
Oh, I took a sip of my Red Bull and the opening was not lined up with my mouth.
You
All
okay,
right.
man?
Yeah. We can move on.
All right, we can take a look at where are we just? Oh, I lost it. Okay, cool. Spurs, Raptors. No Collins, no Pirtle. We're gonna get some more Bassy action tonight.
Blazers. Spurs Blazers.
What'd I say?
Raptors.
No, Spurs, Blazers. Um, yep, and then
Dame time. It's Dame
and
time.
then the same time, obviously. 230 total, 7.5 point spread for the Blazers. And man, the Spurs, hot start to the season, but I feel like they have reclaimed the any game could be a blowout title, especially with some of these injuries, man.
I mean, why we shouldn't slam over Lillard 28 and a half. I mean,
Yeah,
he is just on a tear right now.
he is.
Granted, he did just play the Timberwolves, who are a sorry defense against the one spot. D'Angelo Russell could learn a few tips from Trae Young, even.
Anthony at 21.5. What are these assist lines? Let me peek that real quick.
Dame?
Yeah, or just in general.
No, I like Dame assist in this one too, actually. Is it like 8.5 somehow?
Well, he just had a low 7.5. I mean, he just had a 3 assist
7.5.
game against the Wolves. That was his 38 point, shot 17 threes. He's just been shooting so much, man.
Yeah. 7.5 assists. Not bad at all.
I want to check something real quick. He's been back for 4 games, right? Off the injury, yeah.
Yes. I like that 7.5 assists a lot. Last time against the Spurs, he had 11. Spurs gave up the most assists to the point guard position out of any team in the NBA. I mean, it's a fantastic pace up spot for Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs are top 5, Portland's bottom 5.
Yeah, I mean he's averaging 7 assists over this past 4 and 13 potential, and that's, I mean, yeah, it is including a 12 assist game, but it's including this last game where he just kept shooting, you know. He had 3 assists in that one.
Yeah.
I do like that. I think that's a file in the back cabinet of my brain.
Assists or points do you like more?
I do like both of them, man.
PRA?
I knew you were about to say PRA, and I know I'm about to click this and be like, that's just so high.
It always feels high. It's probably going to be like, let me guess, 20 plus
7 and a couple boards.
30. So it's probably going to be like 40-ish.
Yeah, 39 and a half.
I mean, he can cover that in points alone. He has, like 3 games ago. He almost did the last 3 games. He almost covered that in points alone. 38, 36, and 40. I mean, when someone's hot, right?
100%. Yeah, I just think that like the peripherals, and I don't feel confident that those add up to 11 plus. You know, So I almost kind of want to lean points actually, just off of what he's done over this past stretch.
Yeah, I do like the points. I'll log down. What is it, 28.5?
I believe so.
Like this is a line to me that like could and honestly probably should be like a 30 line. It's like if anybody else at the top of the echelon in the NBA, like a Giannis, a Harden, a Steph, if they're doing like 40, 36, and 38 in 3 games straight, they're getting a 30.5 line.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, it's just this past 3 game stretch. He's been crazy." I mean, he's averaging 28 on the season.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I don't want that to be
in back-to-back 40 games. This dude, this is one of my favorite players because he is so disrespected. I swear.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest. I almost made a Never Run from the Grind award when the NBA awards were being announced with the Dame on it, and I was like, he doesn't deserve that. Like, I don't need to do that to him.
No. This is almost a plant my flag play. I'm about to turn this into
okay.
A
all right. I know, I like it. Are any of these Spurs guys interesting to you? I really want to like Keldon, and I wish he wasn't at 22.5. He's just been shooting so bad.
Yeah, very bad, and I don't like. I'm a
it's
big.
Just, dude, he has 21 points, 8 for 25. It's just like, the volume has been so good this season.
Yeah, I'm just a big believer. Like, if you're cold, you're cold. If you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah, he's just shooting 40% from the field. Like, he's gonna have these games where, like he did against the Rockets, where he just smashed it because, like, oh, he had a pretty efficient shooting night. It's just, I'm not gonna plant my flag on a cold guy, even though it should be a smash. It's been so consistent too, right? Like, that's the most frustrating part.
Excuse me. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can move on. Because it's more consistent volume than like an Anthony this season. It's like pretty much the same line, but no, we can keep going. Anything else you want to look at?
Okay. Yeah, I'm tempted to dabble with Nurkic here.
I love your boy
Nurkic game. I do. I'm looking at PRA.
Yeah, I mean, just these games. Like, I mean, I know not like Collins was like a fear factor player for you, but no Jakob, no Collins.
Yeah. I'll let it be.
Let it be.
Oh, actually, no. Let's look at what's Jeremy Grant's line
for points?
Yeah.
I don't even know why I asked. like you wanted to look at any of that dude's peripherals.
21.5. That's not bad either.
No. Yeah. It's so tough. Yeah.
I like that more than Dame.
It's tough because, like, I feel like, do you like that? How much more do you like that than Anthony at 21.5? Same line, Like, I'm not saying I like one of them much more, but I'm saying that it's close in my mind, which makes me not want to play either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. We can keep it rolling.
Move along. We got Heat Thunder.
Heat.
Do we have a list of the infirmary here for the Heat?
We do. A lot of green, but no Jimmy tonight. That's a big one. So Harrow's probably gonna play. Lowry, Strus, Caleb Martin. Let's look at some of these. Some of these might be kind of interesting. 223 total. Bam's been pretty hot as of late. Being the dude.
A lower total, but it's Heat. This is a great pace up spot for the Heat. I kind of like Bam in these high pace up spots, and it's a good matchup for him. But the line is
2.5. Yeah.
Line has moved up for him. I mean, he has been playing much better, much better. But I kind of like that to continue. 22.5 is not super out of reach. I'd like to know what his PRA is. Let me look at his PRA. Because he is a good passing big. It is a good matchup for rebounds as well.
Yeah.
So let's see what he's at. PRA.
Yeah, while you're taking a look at that, I'm peeking at assists for.
Okay.
Oh man.
Do we have Lowry tonight?
We do. It's at 6.5 assist line, which I like. Man,
6.5.
I thought we'd get a 6 flat. I didn't expect the books to be this on the over. It is a nice pace up spot. And I do like this game, and obviously Jimmy as well helps a lot of on ball Lowry. Um, I just like his most recent stretch. I mean, he's been close. I mean, he's averaging like 6 assists on the season. I just did not expect him to get this kind of respect from the books. I mean, he's like minus 130 everywhere on the over, which I mean, I like it matches with my mind because that's where my mind went is like, what are Lowry's assists at? 'Cause I thought we'd get a 6 flat, but
Yeah, I mean it's kind of that's kind of the name of the game, right? You look at
yeah.
matchups and situations that have proven successful and are way like lines to exploit, and you go and search those lines, and if the line is moved up, obviously more often than not it is because Vegas agrees with the situation, the narrative, the matchup, all that stuff. And if for some reason it's not, then it feels like a good value play. Assuming that you understand the
I wonder what
environment.
is. Yeah, yeah. I wonder what is. I don't actually hate his points line either. I wonder what his PRA is. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Just
Lowry.
yeah, just in these games without
It's like
Jimmy.
26, I think, 25.
Yeah. Ugh, 25 and a half.
I don't hate that. I was looking at that
I
too.
know. Yeah. He has pretty good. I mean, he's had pretty good like across the board numbers. Like in 10 games without Jimmy this season, a lot of the stretch coming this past month. 15.8 points, 5.6 rebounds, 6.8 assists.
I don't love it though.
I don't know. I think PRA is my least favorite, honestly, versus points and assists. I'd rather play either of those, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm leaning like Bam or Hero or nothing.
Yeah.
For points at least. Hero's at 22.5. Odds are or values on the under.
Where's Hero assists?
Actually,
I don't mind Hero points either. I'm just curious. 5 flat.
what's our Giddy line at for rebound? I'm giddy. He's at 8.5. Not terrible. Yeah, this game's kind of gross to me.
Yeah, no, I'm really trying to find something I like just because I do kind of like the 3 guys that we talked about tonight on the Heat side, but no, I agree. I think I'm maybe trying to force to find a play I like,
Yeah.
All right. Go to what the. All right, we're at what? Cleveland, Dallas.
Cavs, Mavs. Cavs, Mavs.
Cavs, Mavs. Nice clean. Dude, these are the injury reports I like. Nice clean. We know who's out. No,
Yeah,
no green.
Someone got their paper in on time.
They said, "All right, we know."
Yeah, they did their homework. These are the good kids.
The good kid. Jeez.
Did their homework. They submitted it to the professor on time. We know what to expect. This is just a classic Mavs Cavs.
Yeah, one of the lower totals on the night, 216, 2-point spread. Favor of the Mavs at home.
Yeah.
I guess I'm on assists right now, so I'll peek at it, but we can take a look at Luka at 8 flat. I don't hate that.
Yeah, this is a tough. I think it's a tough
Garland,
matchup for the Mavs, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It does feel like one of those lower scoring, slower games for both these teams. Do you like any of this? We're over hunters. I'm gonna be honest, and I think it's just easier in my mind to find plays that I really like versus unders. But is there anything in this game that like you really really like?
maybe Mobley, 14 and a half points. I
Yeah,
like the matchup a lot.
I do like that. It's good value.
Yeah, good value. I mean, he's got the size. They got the size advantage all over the place here. The Cavs do,
Hmm.
apart from the point guard spot. But um, 14 and a half is just pretty low against a. I mean, DFS is a good defender. He can play out of his weight class, but I think if the Cavs want to be successful in this game, the bigs have to show up because it's just going to be like a guard shootout more often than not. And then the deciding factor could be if Mobley and Allen can outproduce the defensive.
Yeah, I expect this to be a close game too.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is lower scoring, but that's obviously reflected in the total.
I also kind of like Luca still at 30 and a half. I just like Luca
I
in
know.
close games because he's going to play a lot. He's going to want the ball in his hands a lot in close games.
Yeah.
I don't like that
Um,
30 and a half still. Luca. Yeah. Mm.
these
I really,
teams.
I really like that third line.
This is the first time they played, right? I don't think they played yet.
Most likely, East versus West matchup. Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's guard. We
Um.
got 30 and a half there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just. I'm cool to keep it rolling. I do. I don't mind Luca points. I don't mind Luca assists either. A flat. I do like that line, but I'm cool to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
We'll go. Actually, maybe I do this. Never mind. All right, we got there. Don't worry, guys. Washington, Denver. Another pretty clean. We got the early report on Beal being out for this one and Porzingis as well. 10-point spread in
Yeah.
favor of the Nuggets. This feels pretty big blowout potential in this one. 225 total, obviously reflected by those key injuries. I'm curious to see what some of these guys are at.
I
Guys like
yeah.
Goodwin too in these games with no Beal.
Dang, he's so high up. I really wanted to take Kuzma no matter what he was at, but he's at 25 and a half. I still kind of like it.
He's been pretty nice. I'm gonna be honest.
He's been nice, and there's just been a lot of talk about like him wanting to be the guy somewhere and get paid. And this is like a prime spot for a guy like Kuzma to really show out and try to prove his worth. And Kuzma is the kind of petty guy that's like, I'm gonna get the ball in my hands and make sure I get a deal because like that's just kind of like actually who he is.
Yeah.
Like you can create that narrative about people. It's like, oh, he's gonna want to show out. It's like, yeah, it's kind of cute, but like with Kuzma, like it actually fits his personality and kind of like who he is. And he's already been talking about wanting to be the number one option on like a or number two option on like a winning team, a contender, get traded, and like this is a spot for him to show out and do that and get moved, potentially. But 25 and a half, it's a little steep.
Yeah. Um, man, I was really
Plus, we don't
hoping.
even have a line underdog for it.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say I was really hoping to see some of these like a Jordan Goodwin, like how low his line's at in this game without
Yeah, they don't have him either. Dang.
Beal. Yeah, I know. I just kind of surprising for me.
They don't have much lines right now in this. Jokic at 25 and a
Yeah,
half,
they
but
don't.
big blow up potential, so I don't love the Nuggets guys anyway. I actually kind of like, I might go under on Jokic's points. That might be a play that I like, actually.
I can't do it, but I get it.
You don't like that?
I
No, I know
just
it's scary.
yeah, no, I think that I think for me it's a little too reliant on this being a blowout.
I just still think like his usage can be inconsistent. Like he's had a good stretch here.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those games where it's like he really,
Yeah,
there's
I
really no
think if you
reason.
want to call your shot on that, I totally get it. I think my thought is a little bit of a nod to this most recent stretch for him, and if this game is closer than we both think it's going to be.
Yeah, much more often than not, it kind of is sometimes. So
Right,
yeah,
it's the NBA.
yeah, they don't have a lot of lines for this either. So let's get to the last one here.
Cool. Last game we've got.
All in on Kawhi. I'm all in.
Yeah, I like it.
18 and a half, dude. He's here.
Wait, really?
He's at home. Yeah, he's 18 and a half points
Oh,
against
that's
Minnesota's
surprising.
sorry defense.
I'm gonna be honest. Like
His will
the
lie.
the thing with Kawhi is like, he's been frustrating this season, but it's not like the minutes thing concerns me less. Like he's gonna miss back to backs. He's gonna have these stretches without injuries, but the minutes he's played more starter minutes, closer to starter minutes. Right, he's not at the 22 that he was to start the season. And even in those games, like, yeah, the scoring numbers were low, but it was just efficiency, right? So, like, seeing him have a good game means a lot for me. So, I actually do kind of like that.
Yeah, I really like the 18 and a half there. I think this is like one of those deals where like you can catch this while it's still really low.
It's just,
Uh,
and look at this game, too, right? I mean,
yeah.
223 total, and there's 6 point favorites.
Yep. Yep. 6 point favorites. It's a good pace spot for them too. Minnesota's number one pace team in the NBA. The Clippers are gonna have more possessions than they usually do. Um, yeah, I like Kawhi here. What's Paul George at? Yeah, I mean it's just like I like that value is way more. Like a 7 point discount for a guy who's better than in his prime, better than Paul George, but obviously the injuries and stuff. So
Yeah,
um,
I will totally acknowledge that Kawhi's really good scoring game against the Celtics was pretty efficient from a scoring perspective, but that was like with 6 assists. He still played 30 minutes, you know?
on
Um,
Jason Tatum,
right.
like
And let me look this up. I believe this is the first leg of a back to back. So Kawhi being active, like 100% is gonna, miss the next game. So I think that's one of those where like you just all signs point to like this being a normal Kawhi game.
this gets
First
me
the
really excited. I
first
love
leg of a
this
back
line.
to back. Yeah.
This is my favorite play of the night. This is my plant my flag.
Damn. Damn. Dame.
It's my God guarantee.
I want to peek at assist too because I wonder if he has a low assist line as well.
Don't spoil that moment.
Sorry. No, I do like 4.5. Oh man, and PG's at 5.5. Okay, never mind. I thought I was
PG at
going for
5.5 is interesting. Values in
yeah,
the under though.
right. I wish it was 5 flat or something. I'd feel better about it.
And at 4.5 is interesting. He's just been like a lot more involved in the assist category this year. I don't hate that line for him. It's a sneaky line to me.
Yeah, I mean he's been
Reggie Jackson can kick rocks. Both these point guards, these might be like my two least favorite point guards in the league. D'Lo and Reggie Jackson.
jeez. Just
I
out
mean,
of no.
someone's got to be at
Reggie
least
just
favorite.
caught the stray out of nowhere. We were talking about
I just
Ant.
I don't like these guys. They're just both bad defenders and irrational shooters. That's exactly
Yeah.
what they both are.
Oh,
So
dude, it sucks too because like D'Lo was a guy I really really liked earlier on in his career. You know.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring it up, but I have to. He is a Buckeye, so there's a little bit of bias there.
Yeah, it's fair. All right, all right. Who's your real quick before we'll kind of I'll kind of use this as a segue for us to like think about the plays we like, even though this doesn't really make sense because it's going to confuse you a little bit. Who's your like one obscure player who like never really was like a superstar, but is kind of like I really, really like this player?
Jody
Eh,
Meeks.
oh,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. My brother
Ball for
loves
weeks.
Jody Meeks for no reason.
Will he
Um,
out on the streets?
I'm trying to think of like Pistons, man. Um,
Yeah, Piston. I mean, we could probably go for days talking about Pistons and
or
McDice
like
and.
there's always like those like unsung playoff heroes, like Gary Neal for the Spurs
Mm.
was fun. Um,
I mean, I know you know mine. I've always been a huge Ricky Rubio guy.
Rubio, yeah.
Love Ricky Rubio.
Rubio. I'm trying to think. I think there's got to be someone that is.
Were you ever a big Mike Bibby
Oh,
guy?
I
Am I
mean,
making that up?
I like Bibby. That wasn't like a thing. I was a
Okay.
big Joe Johnson guy. Joe Johnson was my favorite player growing up.
Yeah, I do
But like
remember
he
that.
was like a stud. He was an all-star. So
Right.
like
Yeah. It was like a shorter like
qualified.
stud stretch, but yeah, he had a stud period for sure.
Yeah, Joe Johnson was my man. I loved Joe Johnson. Um, yeah, I don't know, like a weird, just random guy for no reason that I love. I don't know. It's hard to think of right now.
Now you're good. We can we'll transition here and let's go through. Let's try to do. You want to do three? We can put out a bunch and then maybe pin down 3 that we like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put on your plant your flag. I like it too. I know he had a pretty efficient scoring game in that good scoring game, but I think I believe in that line.
This is just a better scenario, better matchup, better pace, better situation. So it's like, yeah, he was efficient, but like this game to me is like a much better scenario for him to like produce. Like he could like shoot less efficiently and still cover because of, you know, the matchup and the pace. I think the pace is gonna be higher where he will get a little bit more volume than maybe people expect.
Yeah.
And I think he does play like solid minutes. Like he is creeping into those 30 minutes. I think he can play like 32 minutes this game, and I wouldn't be surprised. And if he has 32 minutes, like he's going to be over 18 and a half.
Yeah. All right. I know we both liked. I don't want to call my plant my flag, but I do really like Killian more than 6 assists.
Okay. Yeah, Killian more than 6 assists, or you like that over Bogdanovic 19 and a half points.
I do like both of those. Those are both really close for me.
Yeah.
I think I do. I think in thinking about all the other games, one of those is going to be in my top 3 because I think there were a couple that were kind of on the fence, but I think I like those more than most of the other plays we talked about. But I'm gonna have to. You got your pen and paper out? Do you have anything you wrote down? I'm going back through the game.
Yeah, I've got 8 down here. I've got Hayes over 6, Bogdanovic more than 19 and a half points. Andrew Nemhard more than 10 and a half points. I still kind of like.
Yeah.
As well as Franz Wagner more than 18 and a half points.
Yeah.
And then we've got Vooch more than 9.5 rebounds.
I do like Vooch. Oh, I do like that one.
In that Knicks game. And then I have Dame and Luka over 9 points totals.
Do you like Vooch as much as I like Vooch?
I do. I do like Vooch.
All right. I'll put that one in there.
You can put Vooch in there. Let me see. The heck.
All right, so I got Kawhi and Vooch. I think are 2 of our plays right now, and then I think unless you want to throw in, and we could put 4 up there if you want, but I think in my mind, my top 3 are those 2 plus whichever Piston we like more.
Okay. Yeah.
But I do like. I still like Dame. Like I like that one too. I think I like Dame more than. I like it pretty close to Luka, but I know you like Dame a lot.
Let's go Killian.
Oui.
It just feels like the safest, right? It's a flat line. That's like a really nice flat line. Like this flat line, he is covered in what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the last 13, and the 2 he didn't, he played 17 minutes and 19 minutes. Right. So he like very easily could be
and per minute he hit, like 5 assists in 19 minutes, right? Yeah, in that Grizzlies game.
Right. So he could have hit this or been at 6 or more in the last 13 games straight with only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those games being over 30-minute games.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, he plays 30 minutes. He's locked in to be set up really nicely for this line. And I think he can play 30 minutes in this game because I think it is a closer game, which bodes well in general for them. I think it's a game that suits well for the guards just because of how the Hornets like to push it. And I think that suits Killian as well because Killian's just so good at distributing in transition, stopping transition as far as defense goes. I think they're going to want Killian out there for this one.
Yeah. No, I like these 2. So I got these 3 up here. Got Killian over more than 6 assists. We got Vooch more than 9.5 rebounds and Kawhi more than 18.5 points. I like these. And as kind of like honorable mention ones that we had conversations about putting in there, Luka over his points, Dame over his points. Nemhard I know is one that you like too. I do like that one. I feel pretty good about the role for him. I know the volume feels a little consistent, but at the 10.5 line, it's like, I mean, come on, you can't 100% count on that, but I do like that.
Yeah.
Any other honorable mentions you want to include before we close out here?
Wagner,
Wagner,
more than
yeah.
18.5
Yep,
points.
good call. It was Wagner is another one.
But
I'm gonna throw.
yeah,
I did kind of like Luca assist that E flat. I do like. But yeah, I think that's it. Appreciate you guys. Any closing words? Any random player you remembered you loved? I shouldn't have said anything. Well, now I feel like I gotta do one for you. Rubio. I mean Rubio. So here's the thing: the way that I constitute like player used to love is you can go back to like high school or like 5, 6+ years ago, and you have a top 10 plays, top 10 assists. Like that's me with Rubio. Like
that was me with Joe
that was a
Johnson, but
weekly
it was
thing.
just Joe Johnson.
Right. No, I think Joe Johnson's a good one. I do like that one. All right. Appreciate you guys. Deuces.